Thanks a lot. Yes, sir. Good morning, dear friends. I must assure you that I didn't go to Robben Island to play soccer. No, I played soccer before I went to Robben Island. Yeah, in such cities as Johannesburg, in Durban, and so on. But when I went to jail, it was for a different purpose altogether. But I thank you very much for joining together this morning. And let me say that the subject we are dealing with is far more complex than many people realize. It is about the evolution of our society as a whole. And unless we look at various features of our society, we will not fully comprehend the nature of this issue. I'm going to address myself to Section 25 of the Constitution. That's the nub of the issue this morning. But before you go there, we must try to understand, how did South Africans arrive at CODESA? And when they got there, why did they agree on what they agreed on? Because let me tell you this, please, let me tell you this. It's easy to call us cowards. It's easy to accuse us of selling out. When you don't know, please listen. When you don't know how we got there, you can say those things. They mean nothing, and they change nothing. This country, initially occupied by Africans, and I'm starting with the Khoi and the San. Before those of us who speak the Bantu, so-called Bantu languages, if I may say so, before we arrived in numbers from the Great Lakes, there were Africans here called the Khoi, called the San. Our forebears called some of them Barwa, which meant the people of the South, because Baburwa. It's not a derogatory word, although some people think so. It is not. The people of the South is who we found here, who our forebears found here. You see, Bahotu, Barwa. They had their own tribes. Nama Kwa, Heri Kwa, Otoni Kwa. No, it's not a joke. Please, comrades, don't do that. Don't do that. You'll see how little you know. That's why you're doing that. Look, listen here. You must listen here. You must listen. Just give me a chance to talk. Please, I'll say my little say. If you think it's nonsense, when I'm finished, I leave, but I apologize. I will rub you the wrong end because I'm going to tell you some of the things you won't like. But I also sit here and listen to things I don't like, because I respect you. Great. Now, the reason our people said, but you know, these people are Africans like us. However, when they speak, they start with the noun and go to the verb. If they want to ask you for food, they won't say, give me food. They say, food, give me. You understand? It's the language. It's nothing stupid. The structure of that language is like Latin languages. I know you guys like Latin, you respect Latin and so on. The structure of the language is like that. You can't be a lawyer if you don't know Latin. So what happens is, they speak like that. So we say, Kwa Zulu. They say Zulu Kwa. No, it's nothing stupid. It's how the structure of their language is done. They say we are of Nama, but they say Nama Kwa. Heri Kwa, of Heri. So I start there because, as I said to you, you must understand both society as it evolves, and it will affect the evolution of geography as well. So they meet, they were the first people here. We came here, we mixed with them, we conquered them. Because we arrived, the Bantu speakers arrived here in bigger formations, bigger numbers, more powerful weapons, because the spear, the nopkiri and those things, compared with a bow and arrow, they could not resist. Their numbers were few. They were nomadic. They hadn't fashioned steel to the extent we had done. So we took over. You can go into Lesotho, you can look in the mountains, you will see remnants of what they did and all of that. But they became part and we assimilated. Then came the Europeans, arriving here not in 1652, but in the 1480s. Not in 1652. 1652 is yesterday. They arrive. And when they arrive with more sophisticated, more powerful weapons. They were not coming here, of course, they were going to the east, but they arrived here. And of course, it will affect relations. And then, as we interacted with them, they discovered the virtue of settling here. And they decided, steadily and slowly, they settled. The first were the Portuguese, who nevertheless didn't sense, they used to call the Cape of Storms, because their ships had wrecked there, and that by accident they landed. But they landed in Angola. They went past, because they were going for spices in the east. Later on, the Dutch came, and the Dutch decided to settle. They changed the name from the Cape of Storms to the Cape of Good Hope. And then they built that castle that is still standing there in Cape Town. It's under the military today. Then began interaction between them and the Khoi and the San. Comrades, the young men that came on the ships of the Dutch East India Company, it was not even a government thing, it was just business people. They were running away from Europe. They didn't come with wives and girlfriends here. And when they got there, they found young maidens and all of that and so on. They mingled and they lived with the people. But the Dutch went further. The Dutch brought Filipino slaves. They brought the Filipinos here as slaves because they wanted labor to grow food, to grow fresh supplies, and all of that. Because people sitting on the ships for months and months and not getting fresh food, they die of a disease called scurvy. You lose your teeth and things like that. And then that's why they developed agriculture as they did, vegetables and all of that and things. Now, the Filipino slaves had no choice. They came here under bondage. But they too became part of the people of South Africa. Some of you are carrying the blood of these people. You don't know. Then, no, please, comrades. I don't want to talk. Maybe I must look this side. I say to you, comrades, Then occurred a situation in Europe in which the Catholic Church broke up. And as a result of the breakup of the church, actually the first to break away were the British. The Anglican Church, the Church of England, was the first to break away from the Catholic Church. And then, when it happened in Europe, and Catholics fought with Protestants, and many citizens of France and other countries ran away from their motherland, some crossing across the Mediterranean onto the oceans, but others came down to South Africa. They arrived here, and they were called the Huguenots, French Huguenots. They were refugees. They came on what ships they could get. Some died on the high seas, but they arrived and they became part of South. The Francois, Pinard. The Dutois, what you call Dutois is Dutois, French. The de Klerks, oh, can I be allowed to? The de Klerks you talk about, the Leroux, all those French names are great-grandchildren of the French Huguenots who came here running away from religious wars through no choice of their own. They came here carrying stalks of vine. And the Germans followed, also because Martin Luther also had his own problems with the church, and that also did that. I want to cut this story short. When the British took over here, we are coming to the issue of the land, but you will not... Anyway, all of these people arrived. All of us mingled. We were coming down the East Coast, what you call the Eastern Cape, the Cape. We went down, we linked up. And all of that, really, we became a people the world didn't know. The British took over. And then the British brought the Malay slaves, led by a man who was called Abdurrahman Mortula. His grave stands on Robben Island. He died there. All these Muslim people you see in the Western Cape brought with them their faith and brought with them their languages as well, just like the Filipinos and so on. Later on, the British brought the Indian indentured laborers to grow sugar cane in the east of our country. The sugar cane fields you see when you travel in Natal were built on Indian indentured laborers. When they had done, history happens. When they were released from indenture and all of that, their children, their great-grandchildren, became South Africans. They were born here. They were not born in India, they were born here. So they are also part of this. In the meantime, we fought wars. Some people say our land was stolen. It is belittling us. In the East Coast, we fought 9 wars, uncompromising, defending our freedom. When the whites got into the Free State, there were battles galore. To this day, there is no British military general who reached the top of Tababusiu saying he's defeated Basotho. They defended. When AmaZulu defended and defeated the British at San Juan, they were defeating the biggest, most powerful army in the whole world. You can't say it was stolen. We fought. The best young men of our people lost their lives on the countrysides. And it took the combined force of Brewer and Britain to break the power of Sekhukhune. That's how much our people fought. That's how much we defended. But comrades, we were up against more powerful forces, better weaponry, cannons, and all of that. We were defeated. That chapter closes around 1900. And when it closes, as the leaders of our people have taught us on the confines of Robben Island, that closed the chapter of the wars of dispossession. Lesotho had become a protectorate. Moshoeshoe signed. Swaziland had become a protectorate. The king signed. Botswana signed. These are the British protectorates that when our people, when the British wanted to give us union status, our people pleaded with the British, don't give us this without giving everybody equal rights. But the British refused. And we became, however, the three protectorates pleaded that no, we would rather remain under the rule of His Majesty. You must go and look into the records of history to tell you. I'm talking about letters, documents written by Tengo Jabavu, Pixley Kaseme. Our own people, African people, wrote their petitions and so on. Don't think we are not the first one. We are not the first one to speak English here. So they did these things. When we went to the British to ask the British not to grant independence without equality of status, because in the Cape, there was qualified franchise. Everybody could vote if they met certain qualification standards. But you couldn't vote in the Free State, you couldn't vote in the Transvaal. But the British defeated us, they refused. That is why 2 years later, our people formed the African National Congress. It was called the South African Native National Congress, to try and pressure for qualified franchise to be extended to the northern provinces of the Free State and the Transvaal. If you read the works of Tengo Jabavu and those people who lived at that time, Saul Platt, the first Secretary General of the ANC, all that information is there for you. And they say, at this time, saying, look, this country has become a country of so many of us. All we are asking for is equality of status. We don't want war. We have been defeated. We want to survive. Can I? No, you won't change it. You will not change it. So that is why it is for that reason. No. No, I must finish this point because, I must finish this point. It is for that reason that the ANC, the first liberation organization in Africa, sent petitions and petitions. I was brought up by the ANC, and I'm still ANC, by the way. Yes. I cannot be different. I am not the ANC of Zuma. I'm not the ANC of Zuma, but in policy, here. I tell you this. No, you will listen. Comrades, you invited me here. You invited me here to talk to you. Well, listen to me then. Listen to me. So we started the struggle in 1912. and it was strictly within constitutional means. By 1949, when apartheid was introduced, we scaled it to extra-constitutional and started breaking the unjust laws the country confronted. By 1960, when the organization was closed and banned, we said, rather than submit, we will take up to arms to pressurize you guys to go to negotiations. We will take up arms not to kill for the sake of it, but because we want to pressurize you to go to the negotiations. When in 1994 we went to the negotiations, we prevailed. We prevailed. The whites went there. No, listen, man. The whites went to negotiate, not because they liked. We had prevailed. And that is what... No, let me finish my point. No, let me finish my point. I will finish this point. You will hear me because I listened to you when you speak. You will hear me. So when we got to Codesa, and I tell you, this is the last point I tell you. No, we went to Codesa. We came out of jail. Some of us have paid with our lives. Our comrades are gone. You know, some of our comrades are off their head right now. Their heads are not right. We paid. You are talking just here. There's nothing you can do.
No, thank you.
No, but I must read this. This I must read, sir. People, man.
No, you are going to provoke them if you have the chances.
No. I've got to read this. I must read this. Because otherwise you will not have heard me. I will not have said anything. So when we got to Codesa, even the white section had voted that we must negotiate now. And when we got there, we took a resolution. And we said, we, the people of South Africa, recognize the injustices of our past. We honor those who suffered for justice and freedom in our land. We respect those who have worked to build and develop our country. And we believe that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, united in our diversity. We were not the first ones to say that. Our forebears had already pronounced on that, Chief Albert Luthuli and so many others in 1955 when they said, the South Africa we are struggling for is one that belongs to all who live in it, black and white.
Thank you.
No, please.
Thank you.
No, I must finish this. So we then resolved, no, just a moment. Yeah, all right. No, we therefore resolved that we adopted this constitution in order to heal the divisions of the past, to lay the foundations for a democratic society, to improve the lives of our people, and to build a nation that can take its place among those of the world. That's what we are busy doing now. And we are not going to allow anybody to disrupt that process by causing war in this country.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.